black churches did in the 50s and 60s to move our movement forward to get us to where we are here today. And if your church isn't involved in politics or the things that are going on in the community, I can't be a part of it. I can't pay my tithes to you. I can't do my offer. I just can't, because once you're finished shouting and thanking the Lord for all the things that He's done on that Sunday morning, when you go home, there's more things that are going on. There's other issues, that are impacting us as a whole. So that's where my issue lies. So that's my 2 minutes, or maybe 5, but that's my initial remarks. Thank you.
I'm Pastor Hodges from Greater St. Mary's, and you kind of threw me all off my prepared remarks. There are a lot of folks, I think, struggling with church hurt, but one of the things I've discovered is that hurt is hurt regardless of where it comes from. Church hurt, home hurt, job hurt, hurt is hurt. Something else I want everybody to understand is that everybody that's in the church is not of the church. One of the things that I said on Facebook the other day is you have a lot of unbiblical people working in a biblical environment, trying to convince other unbiblical people that something is wrong with the church. Nothing that God has created, there's nothing wrong with it. And so again, find yourself a church. There are some good churches out there, but let me say this. This is what I was going to say. I'm Temple Pink and Peacock proud to see so many folks here tonight. We tried this a few years ago, and we had maybe about 10 people to show up. And it's so good to see you all out here tonight. In 1915, there was a powerful movie that came out that kind of changed the way our country was headed at that time. Nary a word was heard. It was a silent movie called The Birth of a Nation. It was popular for all of the wrong reasons, but what made it so appealing to people was the appearance of unity. Even when you're wrong, when you look uniform and have the look of unity, you can make a lot of things happen. And if we can leave here tonight all headed in the right direction, we can make a lot of things happen. I want to thank Pastor Marge for putting this together, Pastors United. I want to honor again Pastor Jackson. Pastor Jackson is the Dean of St. Augustine Preachers, and we certainly thank God for his years of service. So let's get together, let's talk tonight, let's make some things happen when we leave here.
Ron Rose, Pastor St. Paul. I'm just excited to be here. I'm interested in y'all being real. I have a strong back. But we need real. We need for y'all to be honest. Because the main purpose of us coming together is how do we move our community forward. And we can't do it separated. And we can't depend on somebody else to do it for us. Sometimes some things folks just ain't gonna do for you. Some things folks benefit from you staying down, from you waiting on them to do something. They only gonna do enough to put a smile on your face, but not gonna fill your belly. Some things we gotta come together and do ourselves. And so that's what I'm looking forward to tonight, to hear from the community and see what can we begin to do to work together to help ourselves.
And you guys have already heard from me, Pastor Laverne March. I do want to say there's more with us than against us. And together there is nothing that we can't accomplish. Pastor Bishop Lee.
I am Bishop James Lee. I was invited to sit up here tonight, and I thank y'all for inviting me.
I feel the same as Bishop Lee here. My name is David Williamson. I'm one of the pastors at Grace United Methodist Church, and I'm grateful to be a guest here to listen tonight. I've gotten to know Pastor Ron and Juana pretty well. Laverne and Juana from First United Methodist as well, from the Tuesday community conversations we just have them every week, where it's an open opportunity to come and talk about the real stuff that's going on around race relations in our city and figuring out ways we can move to a new story.
Good evening, I'm Pastor Michael McConnell, and forgive me for being late. I'm traveling from Jacksonville, and it was killer rainy out there, and I heard voices, negative voices saying, turn around and go back, you're gonna be too late, it's gonna be 7 o'clock when you get there. But the Lord kept me going because I knew this was very important. So again, forgive me for being late. Again, I'm Pastor Michael McConnell from First Baptist Church. And I'm so delighted to see this happen tonight. It's about time that we focus our attention on developing community unity in all facets of the community. So I'm delighted to be here.
Let's give it up for them. So now we're gonna open the floor for you guys to come up and speak, and we'll go ahead and address what this brother said first about the ponds in his home. Did you want to say it again so they can be fresh, or?
I feel like I ain't no kind of meeting. So I'm just.
No, but I'll respond to it.
Okay.
Like you say, this is not necessarily the body that deals with that, but this body, if we learn to work together, can affect that. And so essentially what happened, as they were designing, because you have, when you pave roads, you have to have somewhere for that water to run. And so you build retention ponds. Like you say, there's nothing beautiful about our retention pond. And so what happened in the design, that piece was missed. After the fact, it was brought, what is this? And so what we have to do as a community, we have to pay real close attention, because everybody is trying to say that they're helping you out, ain't necessarily helping you out to get what they get. And so they get a steak, and you're gonna mess around and get a hot dog if you don't pay real close attention. And so as a group, when we see something like that happens and a group calls, say the CRA or somebody calls and say, y'all, something's about to go down and we need to show up to let folks know that no, this is gonna change. We show up with this group right here and say, no, what your plan was, y'all need to go back to the table and you need to do it differently because we deserve differently. Or I guarantee it's gonna change. But when one person go up there, two people go up there, whatever. But that's what happened. The design, it slipped by us because the reality is they wouldn't have put that in other neighborhoods like that. But they threw it in our neighborhood like that. We let it slip by, and that just speaks to tell us can't do nothing about that, it's done. But we gotta pay real close attention. And when our leaders call and say, I need you to show up, show up.
Is there any other remarks?
Let me say this, Byron, my namesake. I hope that what we're going to do is make notes here tonight, because obviously we can't answer that question right now, but it gives us something to go back to discuss and see what approach. So we can't give you an answer right now, but definitely we'll make a note of that and take all of these issues back and discuss them. Now, the next time we call you all to come out and be with us, don't sit back. You got to come out and help us with these issues when the call is made.
Amen. All right, moving on. Is there anybody who would like to come up and say their piece?
So my question to the panel, if a few of you guys can address this, what does unity look like? What does unity truly look like? Does it have to be the leaders or the ministers that call, or can it be the lay member that calls, and do we all stand up for them too? So what does unity truly look like?
My mind, what unity is, it's a body that's on the same page with the same purpose, moving together. Now, the benefit that we traditionally had from church leadership is that, I'll just show you. Okay, I'm the pastor of St. Paul, and so I don't stand by myself. And just to show you, St. Paul, when you raise your hand, if you remember St. Paul, raise your hand. All right? And so when I'm a part of something, I have a group that's with me. That's the benefit of church leadership in our community, is always taking advantage of that type of movement right there. So I don't have to go and stand by myself. so it's good to have church leadership, but the community also. That's why we asked Jamie. There were some other younger folk that we wanted to sit up here that they weren't comfortable sitting up here at this table, but they're in here today. But it's all of us have to be a part of it. But we have to know there's a proven record of strength in putting bodies together and moving in a direction. And we can truly gain strength from bodies coming together. But I'm going to tell you something else that might be a little bit controversial. Unity is that when we're moving together, and I just had a conversation with somebody on Facebook earlier today. I gotta be sure that one that I'm calling friend, and this was specifically, I made a comment about Tim Tebow and something he had put out about abortion. Yeah, sound good. Okay, but are you just as vocal since you care so much about life? Are you just as vocal when an unarmed black person get gunned down by law enforcement? Or do you lose your vocal cords at that time? And if you lose your vocal cords, that tells me that you're not sincerely concerned about all life. And so with unity, we have to be willing to make sure that we are willing to sacrifice some of our benefits for the good, and to move, even if it means I have to offend some of our own. And so that builds trust. When I know that Pastor David, when I know that he's willing to sacrifice some of his privileges and benefits to stand when I bring up tough issues, then I begin to trust him. But if I see him backing off when I bring up tough issues that might cause him to sacrifice a privilege or a benefit, it's hard for us to be united then, because I don't trust him.
Also, to piggyback on that and to answer your question, does it have to always come from leadership? We do know historically in the African American church, the church has historically, we kind of, not gone AWOL, but historically we have been the leaders in the community. But there are times that God does use other people. For instance, the CRA and the job that Greg's group does with housing, with infrastructure, with all of that kind of stuff. Well, they already have something going together for the community. So what we do is tag team along with them on some of their projects. They may take the lead on some of those projects, and we get our churches to come behind them. So when they're giving out food or the cancer walk or whatever they're doing, our churches come alongside of them, join arms with them. We may not be leading on that project, but we do join arms with someone that has been proven in our community, that cares about the community, got skin in the game, and we know. And what's so important to me is to have, I've always had a problem with people that do stuff for selfish gain. But when we know that people are in the community that are not really getting paid, that has put 22 years plus in this game, and that you can see their heart, then there are times that we come right alongside them and we work with them instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. But what we do want to do, though, we want to be clear that we don't want to stay on the sidelines and we don't want to stay behind the walls anymore. That as a group of pastors, we want to come alongside the CRA, we want to come alongside some of the young people that are coming up, Brother Lexa that is coming on up, some of the young people that are coming up and have these ideas, right? But we do want to make a statement that we stand, and we want to get behind a project that our community can look at us again and say that our pastors have our back, our pastors are concerned. And so just even to piggyback on what Pastor Ron is saying, is that when we do make a clarion call, and we are fighting, we do a lot of race fights and stuff, and some people think that what we're doing is not necessary. We go with the county commissioners and we have talks with them about why the hiring practices the way they are, why is the top tier government the way it is. And we need city managers and try to give them applications and resumes and that kind of stuff. So when we do that work with them, and like I said, when we need you guys to show up, we need you to show up. So yes, I do say that there are other community organizers that we do lock arms with, but we do want to make a statement from the pastors that we're in this city and we have a stake in this city, because a lot of times we've gone behind the walls, But our congregation, you guys represent our congregation, and you guys have everyday problems. So we can no longer afford to sit and watch West Augustine Corridor look the way it does. It hurts our heart. We can no longer sit and watch the violence that's going on with our young people and stay behind the pulpit. So yeah, we lock arms, but at the same time, we want to get in the game, and we want to show our face, and we want to make a difference.
Unity to me says that it does not matter who has a cause. If the cause is to benefit a whole, then I believe that we should stand together, that we would perform it. Unity means to me that there's no big eyes and no little U's. That whatever you say to me and whatever it is that you're asking of me, if it is going to benefit and make an impact in the things that hinder us, the things that stop us from going forward, then I believe that it doesn't matter who is the person who had the idea. It matters to me how we respect each other and get it accomplished. We have some serious issues that have been under the carpet too long, and we're having church on Sundays and whatever night our Bible study is, and the issues seem to grow. I have a huge problem because I don't want to be called by God and the city that I live in is in bondage. Amen. When I can walk by or ride by 200 Woodlawn and I see the conditions and I'm still having church, I'm sorry, I got a problem with that. I have a problem with our people not even understanding that reading is important. I got a problem. I have a problem that we'll fight each other before we'll fight the cause. And the cause is segregation. No matter whether you want to put it in whatever form you want to put it, it's still here. And we're living beneath our privileges because we won't talk to each other. We won't open up and say there is a problem. Our people are stuck. We are stunned because we're too busy having church.
Amen.
When I think about unity, I think about a cohesive effort on whatever project that we're working on, but even a little bit further, just to push the envelope. There are going to be issues sometimes that all of us may not agree with, or that we all may not stand behind. My only quest for you, or that I ask of you, is not that we down each other in it. So like if there is something that Pastor Ross is working on that you may not agree with, we shouldn't openly shame one another or talk about it with somebody. It's like there are things that I don't always agree with, that somebody, even in positions of leadership that I respect and admire, are doing, but I'm not going to say it out loud. I'm not going to talk. I might go to that person and say, I'm really not going to back you on this, but that's my choice. But we're not going to openly shame one another or openly, let's show some type of unity with our words or in the forefront when we're talking to other people. And just so I can kind of break it down, when I was growing up in my house with my mom and dad, there was 5 of us. My mom raised 5 kids. And you know how your mama tell you, one fight, y'all better fight. So it's 5 of y'all. My sister could be dead wrong. I'd be like, girl, why did you over here starting this mess? But it's my sister, I gotta have her back. I gotta have her back, because it's my sister. I might get her home and jack her up and like, why in the world did you get us in that mess? But on the outside, all you see is me protecting my sister. It doesn't matter what the situation is or what, she was wrong, but I'm gonna have her back, and that's unity to me.
Okay, unity, it has been described several times, and I agree with all the answers. But also, it's on a larger scale, because we have disunity in America, period, not just this community. And we sat back every election, every national election, and let the pundits say the red states versus the blue states. And I heard Barack Obama say, we're the United States. But we still went back to the red states, blue states, now it's purple states, so it's still divided. And it's a national division. And division is of the devil, period. And we have watched this, and so it has filtered down into the communities to the point now that we can't even speak peaceably to one another. And so it has to, and I'm glad again for this meeting, because this has to be the beginning of a unified front. And that doesn't mean we have to agree on everything. You know, we're not, God didn't develop us, create us as robots, you know, where you imagine when everybody agrees with something. But when we disagree, we don't have to become disagreeable. And that's unity.
I just wanted to say this part. When you read the 4 Gospels in the New Testament, there are 4 different people telling the same story about our Lord and Savior. And each one of those people are telling it from their perspective, how they see it, based on their educational status. There were fishermen, lawyers, there was a doctor, and the other one was a physician. And he's telling the story based on something someone told him. And at the end of the day, they still were Jesus Christ apostles. They told the story different. They had disagreements. As pastors, we don't tell you about God the same way, but we're telling you about the same Lord and Savior. We don't preach the same. We do not have the same activities in our church. Some are outreach, some are building foundations, some are teaching ministries. But at the end of the day, look at this. We're here. We're here because we want to hear what y'all have to say, that we can do better as pastors, as working together to make our community effective and thrive. We're not thriving. We need to thrive. And as a people, it's too much. I can look out here and see ideas, innovation. It's time for us to thrive. And the only way we're going to thrive is we do this and come up with some real solutions. And we need y'all to talk. We need y'all to voice your opinion. Say what it is that you think. And there's nobody in here that we don't need to hear from. We need to hear in order to do better. Faith is built up based on hearing. We can hear a problem and we can build up faith to work it out, but we need to hear. Because we are coming out of the walls. We're coming out of our comfort zone. We are willing to hear what's wrong, what you think is wrong. It's important to us. That's why we're here.
And does anybody else want to give a response to that question?
I really don't need the mic. Some of y'all.
A lot of people say they don't need mics, but everybody here can't hear. So some folks have hearing issues, so thank you for using the mic.
That's just my pastor, that's why he said that, okay? But listen, I'm Derek Green, I'm the man of the American Legion Post here. And I just want to say one thing that gets lost in the sauce of all of this, and that's the veterans. We get lost because I heard words like unity and not able to read and bringing the community together. But y'all forget, we do this. We do this at our posts. And sometimes, and I'm not talking against none of the pastors, we've had things where I've sent letters, sponsorship letters. I get maybe 2 back. You know, whether y'all know it or not, this post turned 71 years old in September. We don't make money out there. We don't. Everything we get is through contribution, and we pass it back to the community. How many of you got kids in our Kids Save Some program? None. 1. We give this to the community absolutely free. Don't cost them nothing. But you know what? When we're out at the Publix or we're somewhere raising money, some of you, not all of you, will walk all the way around the other way to avoid coming to help a bit. I'm serious. That's true. That post, we back up the churches. You have rehabs, they come to us. They come to me, they say, Commander, I can't really afford it. We don't turn anybody away. Come on, it's free. We'll do it. I have selling stuff out there. I know y'all pass by there and see us. Just think what you could do if you come bought 1 meal. Just 1 meal. And whether you know it or not, 28 veterans a day are committing suicide. 28. All of you look around and you know a debt to every veteran that's still here and those that are part. Because what we're doing right now wouldn't even be possible if it wasn't for a veteran. And the reason I'm so embattled is because I spent 30 years, and it hurts me when I see people pass by me when I'm out there standing with a poppy trying to raise money to help keep the Legion going. We teach the kids to swim. One of the biggest killers of kids under 10 years old here in Florida is swimming. We run a free swim program for them every summer. So the only thing I want to say, and I'm going to close with this, when you see a veteran, don't walk the other way. Shake his hand because you owe him. Thank you.
So, you open the mic for a second, I want to ask a question. Because I think we gotta have an honest conversation. So, I'm gonna tell you my perspective. I think American Legion knows that I support you. Whenever you ask to use my bus, I send it, I send you a driver. But I do have an issue. I have an issue because it appears to me that when we deal, and whether people want to ignore it, act like it exists or not, you ignore it, you won't let it exist. When we deal with issues of racial matters, social issues, sometimes it appears to me that vets are almost like police officers. And you see that stuff that's going on. You see the wrong. You see the ones that are coming up defending racism in the name of the military. And sometimes I'm disturbed because I see veterans that look like me that know that they're wrong, know that those issues are wrong, but are silent for whatever reasons. And I think it could really build trust if we was, I'm not asking anybody to go and turn against your friends and all that other kind of stuff, but to build trust, to where we really can trust, because you can't be united if you don't trust one another. And I'm very appreciative of veterans, but I know a lot of veterans, I know that the military is also a good landing ground for white supremacists. It's a good place where you can go kill folk that's brown and don't look like you and feel good about it. And it would help me out to know that veterans are bold. You don't have to be a wrong, but bold in addressing issues of racism and white supremacy, because on the other side they do quite well at it.
You gotta realize too now, the Legion as a whole, we're non-political, and we can't do that. You know, now, if somebody wanna step out on their own, just like if I wanna go and I was gonna go downtown or protest something, I wouldn't go in it. I wouldn't go in my American Legion because we can't do that. That's one of the things they tell us, we're non-political and we're non-governmental. So we would love to do certain things, but we can't do it as a body of the American Legion because that's against all our bylaws. We can't step out like that. It's not possible. Because if not, we're gonna have all these other ones doing the same thing, and then we're gonna get to be a political organization. That's one of the things that we're not.
They already do it. They're the ones that come and face me. The other organizations, military organizations, who's the one that used to be a county commissioner? All those others, they come and face me and come at me hard. And so I'm just wondering, well, the vets that look like me, why don't they stand up when all these other ones come out in the name of their organizations and come at me hard?
And speak for some of the other organizations. I can only speak for the American Legion, and I can tell you now, we're non-political, and we don't take sides and stuff like that because it's against our bylaws. But if we, just like you go, you see things like the cancer walk, band is there. If you're having something and you need our support, our band is there. But as far as it is the political issues, it takes sides. We as a body, the American Legion, that's against our bylaws. Now, if an individual wants to step up, a veteran, he can. But hope wear his American Legion paraphernalia. Because again, the only thing they're gonna see when they take a picture is they're gonna see that American Legion symbol. They're not gonna see that veteran, they're gonna see the American Legion, and then that's gonna signify he's a vet. But we have to stay away from stuff like that. I mean, if they wanna do it as an individual, it's fine, but we can't do it as a body and organization.
I think another thing we need to consider is that in every war, all things We tried to do this before. One of the complaints from some in the community, I think on the panel was myself, Pastor Rawls, Pastor McConnell, and I don't know, Pastor Stafford. That's 4 of us. And one of the complaints in the community was, well, they're not from this community. And so some people wanted to silence us because we weren't from the community. I live in Jacksonville, I do. I work in Jacksonville. All things are not equal. I leave Jacksonville to come down here at least 3 or 4 times a week, and been doing that for 15 years. So my heart is in St. Augustine. But the point I want to make is this: just because you fight the battle one way, if I fight it another way, don't assume that because I'm not fighting it your way that I'm not fighting it. Okay, just because you march up, up one way and I'm marching another way doesn't mean we're not headed in the same direction. But all things are not equal. Such as the pastors that live down here, they have a whole lot more time to invest in the problems in the community. I don't have that much time. Now y'all need to pray for me because of the Lord say the same. I hope to be retiring next year. And then I can come down here and spend a little bit more time and even work with you and doing some of the things that you do. But when we talk about the American legions and things like that, there's a way that the American legions and military folk fight our battles, okay? And so again, just be careful in assuming that just because we're not doing it the way you do it, that we're not doing it at all. We all fight the same battles, but sometimes we fight them on different levels.
First I want to thank you, Commander Green, and Mr. White, and any other service men and women in the room for your service. We appreciate you. And I support the American Legion because I have bought many of fish sandwiches and they be good. So y'all get my money on several Fridays out of the month or the year. But I'm assuming that I'm up here because I'm supposed to be like the voice of the laymen of the people. And I got to bring this back to community because I kind of have my ear to the street, if you will. And I want to bring it back to the Kids Safe Zone. One, I do appreciate what you all are doing over there with the kids, and I know about the work that you do. But I think that, and if anybody is in here, you want to correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard many of, don't want to say complaints, but concerns of people from the community that, one, don't even know how to get their children registered or qualified to attend the Kids Safe Zone or be a part of it. And some people have even brought to my attention that they feel as though it's kind of a hand-picked group of children from certain families. Now, I don't know if anybody feels differently, you can express that, but I'm here to be transparent and real, and I want to make sure that we put it out there if anybody feels that way. But that you asked about the pastors, but that may be why you're not getting a lot of support from the people in the community per se, but those are some issues that I've heard arise in the past.
I'll ask for Mike, I don't want the pastor to give you that. Kids Safe Zone. Kids Safe Zone been around 22 years. I think that's the role of business 2 months ago. As for getting into the Kids Safe Zone, very easy. Okay, we serve between 35 and 40 kids in the neighborhood completely. All right. If you want to, preferably kindergartens and first graders will accept it as we speak. We have application forms that we put here at Webster. And the reason we chose Webster because we wanted to eliminate the transportation problem. If that parent Jane fill out the application, it's no fee by the way. All they have to do is fill out the application, attend family night, all right, and they can get their kid in. Diamond, stand up please. Diamond going to Bethune-Cookman University. Diamond is a product of the American Kids System. My daughter's Stanley. Not my biological daughter, my Christian daughter. How much children do you have getting down into the Kids Safe Zone?
So the application are on parent night and volunteer services.
Say it again where everybody can hear you, please.
Come to family night on Thursday. They'll feed you meals. They'll help you
some of the restrictions that have been imposed on us by the decision makers. Sometimes it's not good to get money from the county, federal government, and the state because they put so much cap on you. We were the recipients of a CDBG entitlement grant. With that grant came, in my opinion, too many restrictions by the decision makers. Parent had to get a birth certificate, income, social security number, FPL bill, and other garbage, for lack of a better word. And a lot of our parents was unable to get through the process because they didn't have all those documents. So that may be some of your feedback. The other feedback is very simple. Some people rather go to the Boys and Girls Club, then so be it. When this started, Pastor, many years back, it started here at Webster. I walked over with Cornelius Jones and I said, we want to have an after-school program where we can walk our kids to do homework 22 years ago. Still in existence. For all you folks to think that we got a whole lot of money, we've been doing it 22 years, not even 22 years, only 7 years have our tutors got paid. The Legion gets no pay, Great White gets no pay, Commander Green gets no pay, but we were able, out of 22 years, to get 7 years of pay for our tutors only. And that's a very small amount, trust me. Dr. Quarterman Williams, everybody probably knows Dr. Quarterman Williams, retired educator from St. Augustine. When she left the school system 12 years ago, they was paying her $35 an hour. 12 years ago. You know what she get from the kids' safe zone right now? Nothing. Nothing. So all those parents, I'm easy to find, James. If they have difficulties getting in our program, and to other parents as well, please just contact me. I'm easy to find.
So if anybody wants their child to be in a kids' safe zone, please see Commander Green and Mr. Greg White before you leave and get his information, okay? We'll go ahead and move on to the next subject. Does anybody want to speak?
Good evening. Good evening. My name is James Jackson. I'm a local activist here in St. Augustine and have been for years. I'd like to address, and I thought this is what this forum was going to be about, problems that we have in the West Side. And if I'm not mistaken, correct me, Greg, was some years ago take flight in the West Side? We've lost it. I'm at King Street, stressing, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. I'm addressing the inadequacies that we, as blacks here in St. Johns County, we have. I have a one thing, Sharon. I call it see problems. We've got problems in the West Side. We need to address them. And I'm talking about racial problems, financial problems that need to be addressed. The West Side, we are the developing community. I think it's rather strange that I can go down King Street on Friday, Saturday, and I can see an individual pulled over to the side by a sheriff department with 4, 5 cars. Guess what the infraction was? Defective tail light. That gives the impression to anyone that comes into this community, what type of community is this? I've addressed this. I've tried to go and get some ministers on board with this. But I'm the type of individual, and I've always been this way. I do things because they need to be done. We need to address the problems of this West Augustine. The kids, the children, I think they have. But we need to go and do something with our young people with this thing of respect. Why are you out here doing this? Because to respect yourself before you command respect. So let's go and get with some of these problems that we're getting into the West Side. Let's go and develop West Side and think about you as the United States of America, and let's get united and try and get on board with some of these problems we have.
Respond to that before we move forward.
I'll simply say this: this is about West Augustine and what we can do to enhance the lifestyle here. I need more information because I didn't understand everything you were saying. You were saying you've been trying to get with the ministers to do what?
What I'm saying, and I'm not going to call anyone out, but I took it upon myself to Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter. I took the hand signs made up on my computer to show you how I think. I thought I was being somewhat limited. Black lives is not the only thing in this country. I had another sign made up, All Lives Matter. I went to a church trying to recruit individuals to come out with me, to go and let the community, everybody know how we felt about the ministry because we get that mess out of this church. I left. That's not even toward certain ministers. Ministers like him doing things that some of them are in the ministerial alliance for their own benefit. For their own benefit.
Could I respond to that? I think that when we came down, when the political move was made to the separation of church and state, or church and the community, we took that literally. And I think there is a thought that social justice and social problems are not a part of the gospel, right? I can't speak for, and I will say that every pastor has a different calling. They have a different calling. I will say that. Everybody got a different calling. But I do say that we've separated this social justice problem so long that we think that it's not a part of the gospel. Luke 4:18 said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he's anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor and to set at liberty them that have been bruised. Well, if I'm going to look at setting at liberty them that are bruised, when I look at the statistics alone, and I look at the redlining, I look at the prison boom complex, when I look at more of our black folk are being jailed more at a rapid pace than the white folk, when I look in the schools and I go into schools and I teach in these schools, and if I happen to be with a teacher and I see little Johnny, which may be black, and I see little Carlton, which may be white, if little Carlton halfway, if Johnny sneezes, he's on the fence. But if Carlton does something, he's given a little more leniency. So when I see the economic disparities, right? I see the racial disparities, then that tells me as a preacher and as a prophet of the gospel that I have to use my power and use my voice again to go to some of these systems. And so for me, that meant, I preach this gospel, I can get in a pulpit and preach, but I also got to go downtown while I'm equipping our people out West Augustine. That's what we're trying to do. Equip the folk in St. Augustine, West Augustine, as well as going downtown and do like Moses said and let my people go. So I don't think that, and again, I do agree with the ones of us that have different calls on our life, like Pastor Brett that does the addiction program, all of that, the pastors that do this other kind of work. But I do think that God is raising us up to realize that social injustice needs to be addressed as well as the part of a liberating theology. I think that a lot of times we detach the liberating theology and social justice from other areas like the poor and all of this. But I do think that there are some pastors that are addressing it in a different way, but there are some pastors that are going to the pharaohs and saying, let my people go. There are some pastors that are on Facebook prophets, you know, and I agree with Pastor right here. Pastor Hunt just said that just because we're fighting it differently does not mean that we're fighting it. And I don't believe that we can stand by any longer and watch the Trayvon Martins of this world and watch our kids not only sometimes killing each other, but the police killing them, and we stay silent. I believe that the Bible dictates that when we see the oppression of the people, that we stand up, and whatever that means to whatever pastor, then of course we can't tell a pastor how to be convicted and what God is leading them to do. But I do agree that as pastors, as prophets, we do need to go to these systems and use our voice.
I wanted to speak to something that Mr. Jackson said, and Pastor Ross was asking him to repeat it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Jackson, but I think you said when you ride down King Street, you see 4 or 5 police officers behind one individual, and it's because of a broken tail light?
Correct.
Okay. Have y'all ever heard the phrase disproportionate minority contact? Okay, so that's something that I'm an advocate to dissolve. I'm tired of black men and women being incarcerated at rates far higher than those of white individuals or people of any other race. We make up about 13% of the nation's population, but we make up about 70% of the incarcerated prisons in this country, and that's ridiculous. 80% now, okay. So that's the problem. And what happens is what Mr. Jackson is talking about. You have issues with where people will say, okay, it's just St. Augustine, it's just Little West Augustine, but little towns like these are the direct influence of those numbers. Because people forget about us and say it's just a little small town, you know, that doesn't change anything. But our little area, just like West Augustine, is the influence of those mass numbers, those mass incarcerations, or the school to prison pipeline that Pastor March is talking about. How little Johnny is on the fence and this one, that one. That's what we call the school to prison pipeline. And I just want to educate you if you don't know that they are using our 3rd grade test scores, our children's 3rd grade test scores, to determine how many prisons to build. So when you talk about the police, 5 loads of police pulling over one car for a broken tail light, that is an influence of disproportionate minority contact in our area. And that's the issue that you might want to take up with our other community leaders and ask, why are we being patrolled so heavily in West Augustine? I'm an advocate for police coming when called, not sitting on the corner watching us, because I had a conversation with my cousin the other day, and I told him, you know, if the police are sitting at the corner of King and US 1 all day long, eventually they're going to see somebody run a red light. Eventually. So if you're sitting in the parking lot of the Family Dollar store, or you're sitting at what we still call CIC, which is at the corner of St. John's and King Street, eventually you're going to see somebody doing something that is quote-unquote illegal or not law-abiding. But if you're not there, you wouldn't know what was going on. Not saying that people should be dealing drugs in our community, because I am not an advocate for that. I'm not an advocate for prostitution, which I see lots of in our community right down the street from me and Mr. White, which Mr. White was very proactive in making sure that we ended a lot of that on Volusia and 4 Mile with the prostitution and all of that. But I'm an advocate for police coming when called. When we call you, please come. Other than that, I don't think, we don't go in Shores and see the police sitting on Segovia and US 1 waiting for something to happen. You don't go, even in Lincolnville now, and see the city of St. Augustine just sitting at Martin Luther King and Washington Street. But every corner that I go down, even one night my mom called me, and I don't mean to be long-winded, but she said, there's a police sitting on my lot. My mom and dad owns the lot next to their house right on Duval and 10th right there. And she's like, he's just sitting there, what's going on? I went over there to see what was going on. He's like, oh, I'm just sitting here. Well, you can't just sit here. Like, sometimes it's intimidating to people. And because of the relationship that the black community already has with police officers, we need to put a stop to it. It's just not conducive to our way of life. So we should, maybe you want to address that with your community leaders.
Should I say one more thing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
basically what I'm saying, I've been doing these things, contacting the sheriff on my own. What can do? I'm out there solo. I would like to go and see if I can get something which is really going back to when I go and approach the sheriff. Why do we have these type of situations in West St. Augustine? I don't see you until Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. These 3 wild days. That's the only time I see you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on because it's time sensitive right now. Get close to time to close. Is there anybody else who wants to speak?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kenneth McLean. I don't know a lot of y'all know me, a lot of you don't. My grandmother was Cora Tyson. She's 96 years old today, and she's still fighting. She was here fighting Martin Luther King. She's still here with her family, Jimmy Jackson. And the fight goes on. It's up to us now. The time where laying down is over. If we don't talk about it and get up and do something about it, it's not going to happen. We're it. Baby boomers are gone. Our parents raised us. Now we got to carry that torch, whether we like it or not. I didn't want to do some of the things I did. I don't like going up to the county commissioner's meeting by myself, a veteran. No veteran stands with me. They know the issue. But I go up there and speak for everybody, the whole community. But one thing I do want to say is, what you said, Pastor, education, we need that. Because I got up there, start fussing about this going on, that going on. The commissioner pulled me to the side. He said, Ken, everything you're talking about is on the website. So I started digging into the website. And I started researching the statistics. All these things that y'all see me posting on Facebook, I get them on the website. I'm getting informed, so I know how to deal with them. This is what this is supposed to be about. We're supposed to be getting informed so we know how to deal as a group. The definition of unity and what we do as unity are 2 different things. Now, when we unite as people, the pastors are our leaders. If they don't lead, we ain't gonna follow. I'm gonna just say it straight up. If y'all not out there leading, I'm not going anywhere. My pastor, I applaud him. I'm gonna let y'all lead. I don't care. You don't say nothing about him around me. Okay? Because I don't pay him. You either for me or against me. You talk about him, you talk about me. Okay? So it don't make a difference. But what we need to do, I'm sum this up. What we need to do is pay attention to educating our kids, educating ourselves. I didn't start educating myself till I had to probate my mom's will. And I started thinking, oh, why am I reading more? I didn't like reading. I like to count money. So I made my money count money. But then when I started reading instead of getting educated, by the way, he came, hey, Ken, you're doing such a great job. Yeah, that's because I'm reading. I'm getting educated. The agency that you have, the kids that you go, I helped with that when they first started. Remember the computers that the county gave y'all? I came and tried to help program. I believed in that. I believe in educating our kids. I commend them for that. I didn't know. I thought it was only 14 years, but it's been 22 years, and they've been trying to do it for free. When we go to try to get money from the county, they don't want to give us nothing. So we got to come together as people, as a unity of people, okay? And I like, I'm sorry, Greg, not Greg, Commander. Since I got out of the military, I've been approached by the vets, I've been approached by the leaders. I like to say, I don't like to be a part of nothing that's not a part of nothing. I didn't see them active in the community. If I didn't see them active in the community, then I wouldn't be with them. But I see y'all active, so I'm willing to stand up and do something. But we all just need to come together. I'm cutting short.
Can I ask this question before time is up? We need to know the areas of concern that we need to be discussing. You know, we've been saying a lot, talking a lot about how we feel and things, but what are the concrete areas that you would like for us to focus on and to make your community better?
Okay, so I think we're back to what the meeting is about. I have a concern. I live here in St. Augustine on 288 Acres Street.
Who have you reported this to?
I reported it to the, humane society, not humane society, yeah, animal control. And they said that if enough people don't call, then nothing's gonna be done. I've had several issues. I had people stealing mail out of my mailbox. I reported to the police. I reported to the postmaster. Still no feedback. We get these nasty disease-carrying chickens.
And where is this area?
Aiken, A-I-K-E-N, street. But they're everywhere on the west side. Y'all can see the chickens?
Maybe I'll be my daddy yard.
Y'all like the chickens?
Does anybody else have problems with these chickens?
Every day.
Maybe I'll be my daddy yard.
They are not the kind of chicken in 5 minutes, yes.
Those chickens are in my yard every day, night, and
I was asking Mr. White, was it a blight issue? Because I know that on CRA they have a blight and abatement, so I don't know if this is something that.
How do we find out? Okay, maybe that, we gotta dig and.
I know that they, in the past, there was something going on with livestock that, I think Mr. Waller, somebody addressed. It was back when it was a while ago, but I don't know if that's the same, if it falls under the same guidelines or not.
We'll find out. If before you leave, just leave your contact information with somebody on this panel, and for your comments, and we'll get back with it.
I wanted to say really quickly, as you can see, each one of us have an area of passion. One of the main things that I'm concerned about is we educating the uneducated. Yes, we do have things for our children, but at the end of the day, some of the mothers of those children, we need to come together to educate them that this is not a life that most of them are living. We need to come together with a solution on how to teach and train people to come out of the projects and not to be a statistic. And I think what we wanted you guys to tell us is how can we help you or someone you know make a better community for ourselves to work together. We don't have all the answers, and we definitely won't be able to answer everything tonight, but I can guarantee you we will be aware of some of the areas we need to focus on and some of the places that we need to go to get solutions to some of the issues that we have. Because we've got to start working together at all costs. There's political things that we need to address. There are educational things that we need to address. If we are not educated, I don't care what comes up, we will not know how to handle it, and we don't know how to speak toward it. So those are the areas that we need to start working on, because we need to be educated, because the things he's saying about the kids on the remnant, we didn't know about those things. I mean, we just getting our feet wet, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we need to know that. And the things like what Reverend Ross is doing, there needs to be some kind of reinforcement, because he's not fighting for himself. He don't live in St. Augustine. He's fighting for people who live in St. Augustine. So at the end of the day, we've got to come to a one mind that we're here for the betterment of this community. And we can't point fingers at each other no more, because right now is our chance to come together and work this out effectively.
Amen.
Concrete issues. What are the concrete issues?
I think it's a concrete issue. The financial literacy we do, our community, we need financial literacy. That's a concrete issue. But the issue that I wanted to bring up was we're about to lose a generation of our kids. And we have educators in the room. We have people who coach, people who work with kids. We need to get a grip on our kids. I come from the generation where it was yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Mr. White looked out for me, Mr. Jackson looked out for me, Mr. Cooper looked out for me. we looked out for each other. That's why community is folding. At some point, it got disconnected, and we need to bring it. It starts with the youth. We always say children are our future. It got to start with them. You know? Well, yeah, it starts at home, but you had people who work together and help that person who couldn't do it at home. Because my mama's house was a safe haven. Mr. Cooper was a safe haven. He drove loads of people to football practice. I heard about Mr. White. I'm young. I don't remember you coaching. But Tommy Garden picked up kids, help. We forgot about passing that on. And so we lost it. So my concern is our kids. And if you ask these kids, I have a niece that's in middle school and is running rampant. Go to a basketball game and just sit. The kids are disrespectful. They don't respect adults. I coach high school football. We catch heck every year with these kids coming like, whoa, where did you come from? And we can only be hands-on by the time that we have them. But it was a constant thing when I was growing up. And I'm only 37. It was a constant thing, a constant respect thing. Mr. Jackson said, the respect. Yeah, respect is gone. We have to bring that back to the public. To me, I can just remember going to Tabernacle. I wasn't even a member of Tabernacle, but every year they had a vacation Bible school was like going to Six Flags. Because it's like a week or two. You know, I mean, it was so many vacation Bible schools and it was made fun for the youth. Yeah, church is not fun no more. And you see, I don't know about everybody's church. I haven't been in a while, but if you have, how big is your youth department? The youth department I was a part of, we had about 50 kids, Sunday school, everything. I mean, we have to still drop the jewels in these kids' mouth because what it says, when you grow up, you remember, you train them up, right? The way they should go, and we remember. So I'm saying, as a Pastors United, it might start a little first with you all, then trickle down to the coaches, the teachers, the man on the corner that you walk by. It'll all come back to a community.
I agree with you 100% on the need, but she's exactly right. It starts at home. I have the kids in my church maybe about 3-4 hours a week, but then they go home, okay? It has been said that if you want to know why a child acts the way that they do, follow them home. Right. Now, the problem is, I agree with you. When I was coming up, Miss Lyle was on my left. If she hollered at me, I better do it. Miss Johnson on my right, Miss Terry, Miss Bowles, Miss Frazier, they were all keeping us in line. The problem now is that if I say something to homegirl kid, now it's mind your business. Right. That's my child. You don't correct my child. If you got a problem, you come to me.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not fighting you on that. That's what I said we lost. That's what I'm saying. That's we lost. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that. That's not happening. Tell me if I'm correct. Was you telling me, Roll, you need to get your summer camp going again. You need to heighten up your youth activities. Right. You need to have more activities. You need to have more activities where you're not. Maybe you need to get your mentoring programs going again, Reverend Rose. Right. Is that what I'm hearing? Right. And the kids shouldn't just have to be a part of that church. Right. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. And Reverend Hodges, I totally agree with you. And she's right. It started at home. But if home don't know how, somebody got to grab home and teach it.
I agree. So when we come together and offer a workshop on effective parenting, let's see how many of y'all.
Right. No, but see, we can't do that. What we got to do is say, hey, come to me. Because let me tell you why. If you don't get them and take them to it sometime, they never go. Can I just want to say this. Man, I thought my credit was jacked up. For real. And I was so scared to go and ask, can I get a credit card?
I went and was gonna put a line of credit on my money. The lady said, hold on. Let me check and see if I can just get you a credit card. I said, no. I had something going on. Sit down, relax, let me do my work. You came to me. I walked out there with a credit card. But I was scared. And I didn't know and didn't have the courage to go all these other times. So if somebody come and get me and take me, maybe I'll stay. We can't just put it out there with all these people. It should be jam-packed. But we didn't bring nobody. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes we have to go get them. When I heard about you when you first came to town, they say you went into drug holes to go get your members. Yeah, you went and got them. We might have to go get parents and say, hey, come on, man, there's some help. That's all I'm saying.
You never see my age or younger coming out. So my thing is like, how are we, or us as a community, will reach out to the younger generation, because these are things that they should be aware of and to hear about. So how do we touch, you know, my age, and I'm 31 and younger, like how do, because honestly, I mean, y'all are the older generation, and it's only so much that y'all can do. So as that, you have to pass that education to our generation and younger, but how do y'all reach out to them to get us in to pass and continue doing
I agree stay right there, baby. I agree wholeheartedly with you. I talked with some of the, I'm 55, amen. And so, all of our life, we got a group that we, the brunt of our ministry was youth. Youth. Eat, sleep, and drink young people. And so my concern really is that as I'm getting older, to reach back. We got Mark James now. I see Mark over there. We got Alexis. Mark is real passionate about youth, and we've done some mentoring programs together this year. And so I've been trying to reach back to the 30-something-year-olds to try to pull them, because you guys have more of the energy than we do. I became, I believe, a senior pastor by 38. I was a youth pastor at 25, right? So I'm looking to see who's that next one that's going to be so passionate about the youth that you'll go and make 2 and 3 carload trips and beg folk for their van and pull people to camping trips and pull your young people. So that is a good question. I talked to some of the 30-year-olds in my church, because we are getting older. And so I guess we had that passion for that youth. And yeah, we're still putting together programs for the youth. But you can answer that question as to the 30-year-olds. Now we need you guys. I know one of my nephews or somebody said, oh, well, the church ain't doing this for the youth. I said, but you know, when I was your age, I was doing for the youth. So we do need to pass the baton, because you guys, when I walk into school to do a mentoring program, they listen to me okay. But when I carry in a Mark James, and when I carry in 30-year-olds and 20-year-olds, they got their full attention. So I would say to you that maybe God is putting that on your heart to start to do something at your 31-year-old self, amen, to get your friends together and come up with, I believe Jan Stevens and them used to do that dance program, all of this. What can you do? Because yes, we can run programs, we still are running these programs, but we do need to reach back, and I do hear you as far as having more programs for the youth. But I've been praying so heavy to say, Lord, where are those ones that were passionate? When Pastor Rawls got here, I believe you were in your, 40s? Were you in your 40s when you got to St. Augustine? So our 30s and our 40s, and now we're going in our 50, 60-year-old thing, and we need folk like you to get passionate and work alongside with us. But I do agree with it being about the youth.
Every church in America is wrestling with, every church in America is wrestling with that same issue. How do we reach the millennials? The difficulty with us is because I can't think like you. When I come up with something that I think is good for the youth, the folks in my home, be like, Dad, that ain't right, Dad. You know, they don't want to do that, okay? If we're going to reach them, it's going to take you, it's going to take Alexis, it's going to take all of you working with us, because you can reach, I don't know what you like to do, I don't know you. I don't even know what kind of music you like. I don't know who half the folk you listen to. So it's hard for me to lay out a plan that's going to appeal to you. So we need those of you to work with us, to be part of the planning, to tell us how can we reach the 31-year-old. It's been 10 years since I was 31.
And I'll just say this before we move on, because we're running out of time. I think it's multifaceted. Don't pass the torch and leave the building. Still be in the midst, because we still need the wisdom. We still need the guidance. But it's our responsibility because we speak the language. And for the older generation, I think it gets caught up a lot of times is you're talking at instead of with. I grew up, John Augustus was my neighbor. He talked with me since I was 12 years old. And then we get in this whole segment, I'm just being honest, I'm the moderator, but it just seems like a lot of talking at.
But see,
really
that's how we were raised. I was raised doing it, in an era when people talk at you. And matter of fact, speak when you're supposed to, and then only if I give you permission to do so. So it is a different time. But
so we have to find that balance, is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. We just have to find that balance. If it's in your heart to do it, do what you gotta do. Saying they're gonna back you, and you should have a suggestion.
One of the things I think is targeted is trust, getting the youth trust, and it's more like a lot of youth feel like within churches as well. A lot of youth don't come to church because they feel judged, or a lot of churches run back and forth, so they're like this church or that. I just feel like it's more of a trust thing, getting a youth trust more than what they like to do and stuff like that. It's a trust thing. So I mean,
Let me say something. So one thing that I know that we can do, all right? So let's say, for example, I'm going to use, one thing we really got to be clear on is community ain't just saved folk. Our community made up of people that are in the church and outside the church. If we only trying to serve people in the church, we missing them all. And so one thing that I know Christian get offended by that, but the whole world ain't saved. But I'm going to use Tomas for an example. Okay, so Tomas was doing a concert. He was bringing some rapper. County was giving him a fit. Recreation was giving him a fit. Sheriff Department, all these people giving him a fit on him trying to make money legally. That's what it ain't what I do, but that's what he does in his league. And then on top of that, and they're trying to, and so the way I found that I was able to help him is I don't need to show him what kind of concert he needs to bring. That ain't like the same people be bringing. I attended that kind of stuff back when I was running. But way I was able to help him is able to use my influence and go and have a conversation with the sheriff and go and have a conversation with the director of Parks and Rec and say, hey, this brother just trying to make an honest living and bring something that the people want to be involved in, whether you like it or not. It's legal. And so what I need for you all to do is tell me what he needs to do. I'm going to tell him what to do, and I need for you all to get out the way and let him do it. And then I go back and have a conversation with Tomas. Okay, I'm gonna get all this stuff cleared out for you. I just need you to make sure you do it the right thing the right way and don't mess my name up. And so that's another way when you all have things that you want to do. I ain't necessarily got to come up with the idea, but my influence, who I am, should serve some kind of purpose to help you get some doors open and do some things to bring some resources in. And so that's another way that we can help. And so if Kobe got a football team or association, all right, and I see he's doing positive things with the kids, let's come and have this conversation. All right, Kobe, tell me what I need to do to get right. Because right now I'm slipping. Tell me what do I need to do to help you serve that, so I ain't got to go try to start my own football league. Well, how can I support you in your football league? I think what y'all are telling us is that y'all ready to go do the stuff, okay, but whatever influence that we've gained or should have gained as pastors, let's use those resources to partner with you all to help you do those things.
And let me say one more thing, and then I'm through with Dr. Saying you can have it. Let me say this for the older generation. We need to stop being intimidated by these young people. We feel like, especially in the church, we feel like, oh, they're trying to take my place, they're trying to take my place. But look, in a few years, your place is going to be empty anyway. I wish I had some help up in there, either voluntarily or involuntarily. So you need to be working together to get somebody to take your place, okay? So stop being intimidated by these young people. Let's embrace these young people and pour knowledge into them and stop judging them. You're right, I'm through. Go ahead.
Well, my part in that is that I just believe that it's a two-way street. And sometimes we get to the middle of the street and we don't see what it looks like to be our perception or the way we want it to be. So we stop right there. And instead of stopping, sometimes you need to step across the line to actually hear and see what is going on. There are some people in our community that can pull people together. And I saw some things taking place with this thing called a water bash. And a real Christian, because I'm told I'm not, a real Christian was like, they out there showing they behind. But at the end of the day, they're together. So if we see something where they're coming together, why not let's band together and start praying that they understand what they're doing and understand what they're doing by coming together. We need to use that influence because there is a big gap in the way people think now. People who were born after 9/11 don't think the way people who were born before 9/11. People who were born when the cell phone was bigger than some of these bottles up here, we don't think the same way as people who were born when they're about this big now. So we need to come together and reason together and understand that when you are a woman or a man of principles led by God, there are certain things that we will not do. According to the laws of God, there are certain things we cannot do. Just like he was saying, there are bylaws, and there are certain things that they cannot do because of those bylaws. Being led by God, there are certain things you just can't come down to. But I can pray for you. I can pray that peace take over what you're doing. But if we don't start crossing the line to communicate, we are going to miss it again.
I just want to speak really quickly to something Pastor Elder Sand said about the water bash. I'm not necessarily a part of that, but Cash Williams Shanterica is actually one of my clients, and I do a lot of work with her. And with the water bash itself, I don't know if a lot of people just maybe misunderstand what it is, but my understanding is that it's the opportunity for people to, one, be together, the youth of the community, and also it's supposed to be a nonviolent opportunity, water guns up, guns down. So it has a positive influence on it, and it's supposed to speak positivity into the community, and it's a time where, and she's done a really good job of making sure that when they're at that park, there isn't any issues, nobody's fighting, there isn't anything going on like that. So I think it's a positive event, and prayer is always needed, but you can always also support her too, you know, in what she's doing, because I see her trying to do some things positive in the community, and like Pastor said earlier, just because we're not fighting the same way, it doesn't mean it's not the same fight. So she's doing something differently than what we might be doing, but she's still working to do something positive in the community with her water bash.
We're going to go ahead and bring it home. I got this brother here, and I got this brother here. We'll finish up.
I'm pretty sure everybody knows who I am. If you don't, I am Officer Mark James of the St. Thomas County
in the sheriff's office. I would like to say a couple of things. First, I would like to say I would like to challenge most of these adults in here and in here. If you are not mentoring in the school systems, I would encourage you to do so. One of the things that I take pride in doing is using my platform as an officer to mentor into the school system. There's no greater feeling than to go to a school, work with a kid, and you see them out in the streets or in the store or at a football game, and they say, "Hey, Officer James, how you doing? You came to my school. I enjoyed being there." Just going to a school, talking to a kid, young man, young lady, for a few minutes of your time will make a great difference in these kids' lives. Sometimes I wear my uniform to the school to let them see that I'm an officer. Sometimes I wear civilian clothes, but I would like to encourage you guys to do that because it makes a difference. I heard people say that it starts at home. It does start at home, but at the same time, it takes a village to raise these kids. And I can tell you this, there's a guy from our community, this gentleman said that we had a slogan back in the day called "Take Pride in the West Side." We all know James Allen. When I was younger, there was a place that we had called Teen Alliance. Okay? We all went to that place because that was the only place for kids to go. It was a safe haven. If your parents worked, we went there, we did our schoolwork. He taught us things. We went on field trips. Some of the skills that I have today as a man, I got from James Allen. He took us to businesses and showed us how business run from the beginning to the end. How you take someone's order, you take the money, you go in the back, you make a pizza, you put it in the box, you give it to the person, you give the customer service. These are things that our kids are missing out on. A lot of the skill sets that we got as kids, a lot of the kids are not getting. I think I shared this with Pastor March, is that I would like to see, the churches get involved. We need to start taking our kids, our own kids, to college schools. A lot of times our kids are not finding out until they get into the 11th grade, 12th grade, what's available for them. We have a lot of people in our churches, in our communities, in high places. We need to introduce our kids to the education system by taking them ourselves to colleges. Okay, a lot of people won't know about trade schools if nobody introduced them to them. The other thing I would like to do is say that we don't have anything for our kids to do after 5 o'clock. Once the Boys and Girls Club closed, once the Solomon Calhoun Center closed, we don't have anything for our kids to do. We have no Chuck E. Cheese here. We have no skating rink here. We have nothing for our kids to do. So a lot of times that leaves our kids to wander. Okay? If they're not playing sports, a lot of kids give up once sports are over. So I feel like we need to do something as a community to bring something here for our kids to do. We shouldn't have to go to Jacksonville. We shouldn't have to go to Daytona for our kids to have something to do. That's one of the biggest problems that we have in our community. And we need to start introducing our kids to things. I have programs that I have developed, Team Leadership Council. I'm involved in a lot of youth programs. I work with Pastor March. I work with Alexis Ferguson. I have mentored in all of these schools on the west side. Crookshank, Webster, Osceola, Otis Mason. And I think that if we all just take a little bit of our time to mentor to some of these kids, it don't have to be nobody related to you. It don't have to be in your church. But it can be anyone that you know, any kid that you see. We all need to step in at some point and try to mentor those kids.
Amen. Thank you for what you do, Officer James. Are you related to Sister Sarah?
That's my grandma.
You know she go to St. Mary's.
First thing is that I see the distinguished panel up here, but what I do see missing is the pastors basically made up of the West Augustine here, and for that I'm sad. Now I drug my old man. I can tell him old people, this is where we're going to be. I believe you when you see a lot of pastors don't want to get involved in politics, but I don't know how you're a pastor and you don't get involved. My concerns are, first of all, concerning economic development.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about sticking another family dollar in the I'm talking about bringing some seminars in here, whereas we are teaching and showing our families, neighborhoods, community, how to become business owners. Yeah. Don't bring another business here that's not owned by us.
Right.
Amen. Do you understand? I heard you also talk about the jobs. St. Johns County, they have a serious oppression issue there. They like to keep you under their foot.
Yes.
Now, we need something in place that was at the school board called equality specialists. I'm just telling you what we need. Say it again. We need like an equality specialist, where there is like, it's like a grant that you would write up, basically like the federal government. Whereas what you would do is that the person, as applications come in, they're viewed by one person that makes sure that a black person, as well as any minority, has an equal opportunity of getting jobs. The same way. Let me tell you what happens. When my sister goes to school next to another white child, they graduate together. My sister goes off, has to walk to college because she has to get a good job. But the same young lady that she graduated with, her grandmother was holding a position at the county for her just to graduate. That's called inequality. There's a common practice. I know for a fact it's a common practice. It's been a common practice possibly about 35 years. This ain't nothing new. Okay? So when we talk about these issues, this is my question also. The CRA, I came to Pastor Ross about almost 4 years ago, because I was wondering what direction the CRA was taking. So where was our community going? It was like 4 years ago. And I said, then I felt what needed to happen. My question to this panel is, and I asked, are you going to be working with the CRA? But if you are working with them, does anybody have the expertise to execute what needs to happen? Because it takes more than somebody that doesn't get up on a soapbox. Because you have to understand, you have to have knowledge of politics, like you said, you have to be educated. You have to understand politics and economics. These are the games in which the government plays. And if you do not have the education and the know-how and the way to do it, they will bury you every time. They love seeing an uneducated person come. Because they know the game, they get ready to play. So if you're going to speak for the masses, and I'm going to go back and talk to what I call my Baptist brother, no slang, but my Baptist brother, I'm letting them know they better get on up here. It shouldn't take somebody else to come here to concern, because like I told my dad over 5 years ago, me and some of the pastors always inspired. I kept telling them over 5 years ago, because the people are not getting quality jobs, they have to go to Jacksonville for it. But after a while they say, well, I have to go to Jacksonville, spend 12 hours a day, put my car over there on the road. Why should I come back if I might as well stay there? Now, this is a true down thing. Now, I know we lose voters, but now you lose parishioners. So now, if you continue to lose parishioners, after you ain't gonna have a job, because you need to just preach to yourself.
All right.
So this affects everyone. But once again, like I say, if you guys are going to handle this, make sure that you have the expertise, and if you don't, bring somebody in that does.
Amen.
Let's not waste more time. All right.
So in answer to your question, we are not competing with the CRA. As we said before, we're working alongside of the CRA. What we are actually doing right now is we are discovering the folk in town that the pastors or whatever in town that have a passion for the youth. And so we're putting together tutoring programs right here out of this school and other places. We are also trying to bring in a small business administration for folk that have a desire for their own businesses. And at the same time, we are with the not county commissioners, but city commissioners and stuff, trying to work with fair hiring practices, right? So that's what we intend to do. We wanted to find out from here what the needs are. Work along with the CRA, right? But then have a group bring in small business administration, bring in, like you said, people with the expertise, and then some of us that do have the passion for the youth, we'll work with those tutoring programs. Other people that's on the political side, we'll work with that. So that's what we intend to do. Is it all the way thought out? No. After this meeting, we intend to meet together again in a few weeks amongst ourselves to see who out of the community that we're going to bring and stuff. But we are thinking about all of that. And again, I'm so sick and tired of seeing our community divided. And I know the CRA and some people had that. Is this a whole nother group you guys are starting? Are you going to compete with them? Absolutely not. We're just trying to get back in the game. And we know that we have so much intelligence, so much talent that we know we could get it done. So yeah, we are going to bring in some people, and we are going to utilize what we do have in town.
If there isn't anyone else, we're going to have our final thoughts.
The young lady who you said she had a list of things, just wanted to read the list. Can you do that real quick?
Keeper. Hurry up before the baby comes.
Who has the list? Okay. Thank you for coming, Pastor Jackson.
Within a community to teach those that don't know their rights about certain things and resources within the community and just communications.
Thank you. That makes sense. On this side, actually, I have two things very quickly. One is a suggestion. In our community, we have hearing impaired, and I am a hearing impaired community, and I would love to see some type of way that if this happening is not in notes, or it could be recorded in sign language, no need to pay. I'd be happy to volunteer the service for that, for those in our community. Secondly, this is a request for your help. I recently sponsored a Miss West Augustine Heritage Pageant, and the program that it's under is called HELP, which is Heritage Education Tooling Our People. And like Ms. Jackson said, we used to say Pride in the West Side. When I worked with the kids when Mr. Jackson was over at the Calhoun Park, that was one of our phrases, Pride in the West Side. And that's part of this heritage education to link our people. So I would like to ask for your help, ask for your guidance in building up this program. It does mentor a young lady, Mr. White, actually she was first runner-up in our pageant, and all three of the ladies that were in the pageant will be attending, have been accepted to Bethune-Cookman University. We are having many of you will get invitations to help them with their initial year at Bethune-Cookman. And again, this plea is for your guidance, for any suggestions for our help program. I'm devastated in 1 year that there have been 3 young men that I know that have been shot and killed on the side of the road in front of a church, in a park that's designed for our kids to have an enjoyable time, and families right here. We have to do something. A part of that pageant program was Young Men of Distinction. We've got to do something. They don't all play basketball. They don't all get their scholarships for football. We have to do something, and I'm more than willing to help. Let's put these young men, and it was my grandbaby, my 12-year-old, that was inked out in the Fred Astaire tuxedo, but it's like, you're going to do something. You're going to learn how to dress in a tuxedo. Mom, I don't know where all this stuff goes. I know. what you're gonna learn at this age. So these young men of distinction are very important in our community. These young ladies who have an opportunity to advance the career of their choice through pageantry. Pageantry runs in my blood. I love pageantry. It's a wonderful self-esteem builder for our young ladies. That's all a part of this. I do have a heart. I am willing to accept your advice and your guidance, because what side is me? King Street and Fifth Street and St. John, that's misguided. I don't want to see another child, mine or anybody else's, on that side of the road. We have to find something to do for them so they know that I've got another avenue than what we have seen in recent months. Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and have our closing remarks by Reverend Combo.
All right, just to kind of listen to everybody, we have to come up with some next steps, and what was important to me is that I didn't try to come up with next steps in my own mind, but really listen to other people. And I think it's clear that these next steps has to be done collectively. I think we have everybody's information over there, hopefully, that we can put everybody on a contact list. I don't think we're going to be able to jump on next steps right after this, right here. There's a lot more conversation needs to have, but I don't want to get stuck in meetings, but I heard that it's important that churches that we get involved in helping with the mentoring efforts. And Pastor Hodges was saying, you know, that we can do it collectively, we can do it collectively as a group, but we gotta get involved, engaged in the mentoring, and leave our print and help the people out that are running the program. I might not necessarily need to start a program. Somebody might be running a program, and I might need to provide 10 men and 10 women. But I think we need to have some conversations and say we got to get engaged, we got to help with the children. That we have to support organizations that are doing the work. We have to go and support those organizations. We have to have evening options for children. We have to deal with the over-policing. That we don't just expect the police to fix our problems. But we play a role in our communities, and when the over-policing takes place, Jimmy Jackson should be able to say, hey, I'm going down to have a conversation. I need 5 preachers to come with me. And then we move. And so we address the over-policing. Economic development, but not necessarily bringing more businesses in, but empowering our own, because when our own gets it, the money stays here. When I'm not sure if Ken live over here, but when our own opens these businesses up, you know, Pastor Reese and people like that, then that money stays here. So we have to help with the tools, try to get tools to help with economic development and business ownership. Use the tool of equality specialists to hold governmental agencies accountable, you know, when they're looking at applications, make sure minority applications are getting a fair look. And just education, like I said, education and resources, bringing education, but we have to take an active role in helping to provide. We don't have all the answers, okay, but there's enough intelligent people out there, there's enough intelligent people that we can touch that say, you know what, let's bring these resources to the community and work with groups that are already doing the work. And then also be considerate of the hearing and impaired community members that are here to, and when we have volunteers to say, I'll help with that right there. And when we get more participation, but we have a list. And so we got to really just go and think about how do we pull this together, because I don't want to sit here for an hour and a half just to talk. What are we going to do? And so all of us will get together. We'll use that distribution list that you all have to start coming up with next steps, but I promise you, if we let it die, we're going to get what we always got. We're going to have to push this thing. I'm going to just be honest with you. Us pastors got to figure out how to work together. Because some of us just disagree with each other. But we got to figure out how to get past our disagreements and do the work that the community has called of us to do. And then knowing that the community has our back when we step out there to lead. Because the lead ain't nothing if nobody ain't following. and then understand all the talent that we have, and understand that just because I'm the pastor, somebody else might need to run that issue or that thing, and I just need to make sure I give them the support. And so that's kind of what I'm getting. Those are the notes that I took. If I miss the notes, come back and tell me after it's over, hey, you forgot to put this down, put that down. But I'm sure Pastor Marsh will pull us together, and we're gonna come up with make some sense out of this right here, and see how do we pull it together to get our community headed in the right direction where we trust them. As soon as we get to the place where we trust one another, and I still got to get there. As soon as we get to the place where we trust one another, we can do some amazing things. But you just don't give trust. Trust has to be earned. Got to make sure you got my best interests at heart. And so that's what we're gonna go and have a tough conversation. And then you all, I know you're gonna be hearing from us within the month on next steps. What do we need to go and do to make these things happen? So I want to thank you all. I set 100 chairs up, and we had everything, but when we were packed, when we were filled at capacity, when we were filled, we had everything but 5 seats filled up. And so I didn't count us up here, so we had us in here, we had over 100 people on the today. And so we can do it, but don't let people that would not be in this conversation get in your ear and throw water on it. Let's just fight through the tough stuff, and let's go and get some work done.
All right, y'all give it up for this panel again, and give it up for yourself for coming out. Because like I said before, you came here just saying that you love your community. So if you love your community, I just want to see, give yourself a hand right now. So before you leave, because he meant that this isn't over, make sure your name is on the sign-up sheet with your email so that you can be contacted for future events that we will be having. All right, thank you guys for coming out.